This is the home where 4 students were brutally stabbed to death on November 13th in Moscow, Idaho. Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Kaylee Gonsalves. A reddish-colored substance, believed to be blood, can be seen coming from Xana's room. Today, Ethan's Jeep was removed, as well as Kaylee's new Range Rover and other vehicles. Sigma Chi, the fraternity that Ethan belonged to, is literally a 1-minute walk away from the home. That night, Ethan and Xana were at a party at this fraternity. Right next to the home is an apartment complex, and behind the home is a parking lot. This parking lot looks into the backyard of the home.
After 65 long years, the identity of the boy in the box has officially been confirmed. On February 25, 1957, a little boy between the ages of 3 and 7 was found murdered and stuffed inside of a bassinet box on the side of the road in Pennsylvania. He had been wrapped in a plaid blanket, was malnourished, and had suffered extreme physical abuse prior to his death. His cause of death was determined to be blunt force trauma, but the odd part is that he appeared to be clean and freshly groomed with a haircut and even had trimmed fingernails. Authorities took the boy's fingerprints and discovered a lot of clues left behind at the crime scene. And soon the case gained massive media attention, so investigators truly believed that his murder and identity would soon be solved. But instead, the case went cold for over 6 decades. No one knew the identity of this poor little boy, and when he was officially buried, his tombstone read, "America's Unknown Child." But as of yesterday, November 30th, 2022, police sources in Philadelphia have officially confirmed that they now know who he is. With advances in DNA analysis and being cross-referenced with genealogical information, a DNA profile was successfully developed and was traced to a, quote, prominent family in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, end quote. From that, authorities were able to track down the little boy's birth certificate and have announced that as early as next week, they will be able to release the little boy's name to the public. I'm assuming they have to wait in order to notify the family. But even though the little boy's identity has been confirmed, the murder itself is still unsolved. The case is still open, and according to authorities, criminal charges could still be filed. There have been many theories as to what could have happened to the little boy, but there have been 2 that kind of stuck around. The first theory is that the little boy lived in a foster home that was located about 1.5 miles from where his body was found. Upon searching the foster home during an estate sale, authorities found that they were selling a similar bassinet that would have came in the box that the little boy was found in. Authorities also discovered similar blankets to what the little boy was wrapped in, hanging from a clothesline at the foster home. But all of this evidence was circumstantial, so authorities closed the investigation into the foster home in 1998. The second theory came from a woman named Martha, who in 2002 claimed that her abusive mom purchased the little boy in 1954. Martha claimed that he was subjected to extreme abuse, and on the night he died, he had thrown up his meal of baked beans before being beaten and given a bath, where he eventually died. This claim matched information only known to the police, as the coroner confirmed the little boy's stomach contained baked beans. Also that his fingers had been water wrinkled. Ultimately, though, police were unable to verify her story and deemed it unreliable, as the woman had a history of mental illness. Even though it's been 65 years, we are one step closer to getting full justice for this little boy, and he officially will no longer be known as America's Unknown Child.
This is the case of 16-year-old Enrique Rios and how he was set up by his friend. Enrique was born on January 2nd, 2000 and lived in Esparto, California with his mother Lola, his stepfather, and his younger sister. His family says that Enrique loved his friends, he loved his family, and he just loved life. Now, of course, no one is perfect, and Enrique did run into some trouble in his teenage years. He ended up getting into a fight at school, and this led to him being on probation. However, as part of his probation, the family found a program that allowed him to go to school in the morning and then go to work in the afternoon. At this job, he would learn trade skills, and he was getting paid $800 every other week, and Enrique absolutely loved this job. His life was turning around, and he was so excited for what the future would hold. But unfortunately, that would all change on Sunday, October 16th, 2016. That Sunday, the Rios family was getting ready for bed. At around 9 p.m., Enrique walked into his mother's room and told her goodnight. Lola says that Enrique was wearing black shorts and a white t-shirt, which is what he would typically wear to bed. Everyone went to sleep, and the next morning on Monday, October 17th, she woke up and realized that her son was gone. Lola started calling her son, but all of the calls went straight to voicemail. However, after a few hours, she did receive a text message from her son. In this message, Enrique said that he was on his way to school and that he had accidentally fallen asleep at a friend's house. Lola asked him, okay, what about your uniform? Because he had left the uniform at her house. Enrique said that the friend he was staying with was also part of the program and that he had an extra uniform for him to borrow. Now, Lola says that when she saw that text message from Enrique, she immediately knew that something was wrong. So a couple of hours later, she called the school and asked if Enrique had shown up, and they said that he had never shown up to class. She continued calling and texting her son and just wanted to speak to him on the phone and see if everything was okay. Eventually, in the afternoon, she received one final text message from her son. This message said that he needed to go away and that he was under too much pressure and just needed some space. Lola read that message and immediately knew that this wasn't her son. Someone else had sent her this message. So she immediately called police and reported her son as missing. However, the police didn't really take her seriously. They classified Enrique as a runaway and they didn't really do anything about it. It wasn't until 3 weeks later that police would finally take his case seriously. This was when Enrique's friend, 17-year-old Elijah Moore, also went missing. Elijah was last seen on Friday, November 4th, 2016, just 3 weeks after Enrique's disappearance and just a day after his 17th birthday. As soon as Lola found out about Elijah's disappearance, she immediately knew that this was connected to her son's case. And police agreed with her. They thought it was strange that these two students and co-workers disappeared within weeks of each other. Both families began asking the public to come forward with any information about the teens' whereabouts. And someone did. Someone submitted an anonymous tip letting the parents know that both teens had been kidnapped, that they needed to look into Jesus Campos and Shondell Shannon. Right before his disappearance, Elijah was seen on camera cashing in a check on Main Street in Woodland. And with this, police started to put together a timeline for what happened. Okay, go to part 2. This is part 2 on the case of 16-year-old Enrique Rios and how he was set up by his friend. So police started looking into Shondell Shannon and into Jesus Campos, and that's when they realized that more people were involved in this. And 2 years later, on June 7th, 2018, police released the names of the 4 men involved in the case. They charged then 27-year-old David Frost, his 21-year-old brother Jonathan Frost, 21-year-old Shondell Shannon, and 18-year-old Jesus Campos with kidnapping and murder charges in connection with the teen's disappearance. The number one question everyone had was, what happened? Where are Elijah and Enrique? Well, Jonathan came forward and told police that in exchange for a plea agreement, he would tell them everything, and he would even testify against his own brother David. The prosecution accepted his deal and Jonathan began to talk. He says that this all started back in October of 2016. This is when 17-year-old Elijah Moore met with David Frost at a KFC parking lot and robbed him of 3 ounces of this. This made David very angry, so he called up his brother Jonathan and told him about the robbery and about how he wanted to get revenge. He said that he wanted to find Elijah and kill him. So David called up the other members of the group and they sat down and started to make a plan. Shondell and Jesus started hitting up Elijah's friends to see if any of them would know where he was. And that's when Shondell got the idea to message Enrique, lure him out, and have him give up Elijah's whereabouts. Now Enrique literally had nothing to do with this. He wasn't there during the robbery, he wasn't a part of this friend group, like he literally had no connection. The only connection he had was that he was friends with Elijah. That was it. So on Sunday, October 16th, 2016, Shondell messages Enrique and invites him out to a party. However, there was no party. Instead, they lured him out to Knight's Landing. There, at the secluded location, David began to interrogate Enrique and told him to lure Elijah out. However, Enrique refused. He told David that he didn't want to be a part of this and that he didn't want to set his friend up. This made David angry, and instead of letting Enrique go, he decided to shoot him in the head. All because he wouldn't give up his friend. After this, the foursome continued on with their life. They still wanted to get revenge on Elijah, and 3 weeks later, they spotted Elijah leaving a barbershop on Main Street. They kidnapped him, they put him inside the trunk of a car, and they took him out to Knight's Landing. At first, David told Elijah that he wasn't going to die, that he was just going to punish him by driving him far out and making him walk home by himself. However, when they arrived to Knight's Landing, they took Elijah out of the car and put him inside a ditch. Then, they all took turns beating him with sticks and branches. Then, David shot him in the back of the head. After they buried his body, they went to Denny's and had some food. And they paid for their food at Denny's with Elijah's money. They literally did all of this over 3 ounces and $300. Jesus and Jonathan tried to help the police locate the teens' bodies, but unfortunately to this day, Enrique and Elijah's bodies have never been found. David, Jesus, and Shondell received life in prison without the possibility of parole. As for Jonathan, he will most likely be serving only 15 years to life. If you know where their bodies are buried, please contact the number on the screen.
Radiating the young romance soul. Now the wildfire inside our hearts is starting to align again. No, caught in the crossfire, our love is glowing. We recreate the young years old. Yeah.
Trigger warning.
But he does think it's Dom. Were you hearing it? Yeah, I heard it. Okay. Hey, I can hear it up here, guys. It's up here. You guys.
Hey, get my freaking! Open the door! Solid place! Oh, let me see it!
Trigger warning.
Okay.
Part 2.
Come here, come here! No, you come here right now! Where is he? Is it just you? Grab her, take her, take her. Okay, who else is in here, ma'am? Hey, try to get info, let us know. Who else is here? Salt Lake City Police Department, if you're here, call out now! She mentioned a son. I got you, I got behind you, you guys got that. This is all clear. I can't see, so. Does it go down? Okay. You're good, slow down. Let me see your hands right now. Put him down. My hands are right. Put him down. Put him down. I know. He's sleeping. Don't touch him. Put him down. Don't touch him. Put him down. Hey, you're good, buddy. What did I do? What did I do? Go help them. You're good. Okay, we're okay.
Give me my baby.
Come here. Want to see Mama?
Hi, baby. I'm so sorry.
Want to see Mama?
I love you so much. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. We're never gonna trust your daddy again. We're never gonna.